His name is Grax. His name is Grax. He's playing some games on his stream. Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Grax's stream. My name is Grax Bishop, and I am your host for tonight's event. Merry Christmas, or soon to be Christmas. Harlandos, welcome to the chat. Welcome, Andy, to my stream. We're just getting started, and I hope you like the hat. And, yeah, hang on, let me just check to make sure that my audio is going good. Yeah, all good. Cool. Right, okay, so tonight is not going to be a game stream. It's not going to be a Milk Magazine Inc. writing stream. But I did want to do a stream before the end of the year. This will be my last stream until 2019. And I wanted to take this time to give back to the community and something in terms of erotica. So I will be reading a story from the Chuck Tingle series. Now, for those who don't know, Chuck Tingle is an erotic novelist, and he specializes in obscure, absurd homoerotica. Now, the reason why I got these books, these ebooks, is because Humble Bundle, humblebundle.com, they were doing a bundle of books earlier on this year about erotic novels, and this was one of the selections. So I just bought it on the whim, you know. I might be able to learn something from him. And I read this guy's Chuck Tingle stuff, and it's just so funny. It's just hilarious. And frankly, if you think my stuff is terrible, then this is just absurd, the kind of stuff that comes off. And I'm really looking forward to reading it for you guys. But yeah, I'm going to take some time now just to wait for people to actually come in and join the chat and actually get people talking on the chat, so I can actually know when to actually begin, because I don't want people to start before people come in. So I'll also pepper in a little bit of question and answers times for people who want to ask me any questions in the chat, or via Twitter, or via curiouscat.me/GraxBishop. Anyway, you want to ask me a question, you can. And if you want to invite people to come watch me right now with my Christmas hat, my Christmas jumper right here, then by all means, do share this around, and we can get things started. And one of the first things I want to do is I want to give big thanks. I want to give big thanks to Tom Mayhew. He was very kind to me the other week. He watched me do a Destruction Derby Let's Play, and he happened to mention that he had a copy of the game, of a sequel. And he asked me if I wanted it, and he said, you know, you can if you want to send it, but you don't have to send me anything at all. It's not important. But he still did. He sent me a PlayStation 1 copy of Destruction Derby Raw. Hi, Writerly. I'm doing all right. How are you doing? Thanks for joining me. So yeah, he sent me a copy of Destruction Derby Raw, which is the third in this series, and he also sent me a copy of SmackDown 2 on the PlayStation, which is incredibly kind of him. And you don't have to send me anything at all, but this is incredibly kind of him. I mean, because he wants me to play this. Tom Mayhew wants me to play this game, and this was just, well, this brought me back to my childhood. And I feel like I want to give back to him, and the best way for me to do that right now is to promote his show. Tom Mayhew started a new podcast called The 18%, and it is a podcast which talks about the people in the writing world, in the stand-up comedy world, in the creative world who are working class. There's some statistics that show that 18% of the people in the creative media, comedians, writers, etc., are working class. And Tom Mayhew wants to actually bring that to the forefront. He wants to share these stories because he himself is a working class comedian. And it's a really, really good podcast. It's really fun. He's got 3 episodes out right now, and I didn't realize that I had no idea that there was a need for, like, indicating it's a working class type thing, and it's utterly fascinating. He's got 3 guests on right now, and you can go to his podcast now by doing a Google search for the 18% podcast. You can also use other search engines. You can find him on there, or you can go to Tom Mayhew at Tom Mayhew. Find him on Twitter, and it's a really good podcast. Have a listen to it. 3 episodes out right now, and I want it to grow, and I just want to say thank you very much for these very generous gifts. And I will be sure to do a Let's Play of Destruction Derby Raw in the near future. Thank you very much, Writer Lee. In the chat, he's put it down. It's the18podcast.podbean.com. And I think you can also find him on Twitter, which is at the18podcast. So yeah, there is that. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer. I'll be doing this for, I'm not sure how I've been streaming for, a few minutes. I'll do a bit of a wait just to see if I can get some more people into the chat, and then I'll read the story. And I guess I just want to reflect upon my year. This will be very, very, very quick. I'm just stalling for time, waiting for people to come on, because I noticed that people who join my Twitch stream, or any stream, it's usually 10, 15 minutes after they've gone live. So skip, except for you fine people, Andy and Writer Lee, who are incredibly fine people, I must say. And what is Chuck Tingle? Chuck Tingle is a writer. I don't know if it's his real name or if it's his pen nom de plume or something like that. He writes absurd homoerotica, and the stories he's written, which includes Velociraptor gangbangs with a human guy. That's one story. Another story is the story where where the character has gay sex with a personification of a Bitcoin. And the third story, which comes to my mind, which is one of them I'm going to read right now, is where a man has gay sex with his homosexual repressed spirit. So that gives you a rough idea of what kind of story Chuck Tingle writes. So yeah, I just so we can pad some more time. My year, I don't think 2018 for me is kind of it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be exciting. Ultimately, I'd say my 2018 has not really got started until October. And a lot of that time for the past year is just me wrapping things up and trying to get myself in a clean state. I don't know about you, but I felt like I was doing way, way too much for a long, long time. And I wasn't really getting anywhere. I wanted to go in a particular place. I wanted a particular path. And I knew if I was carrying on doing all these different projects, which included doing the Raymond Bishop show in the Edinburgh Fringe Festival, I wouldn't be able to do stuff like vlogging and streaming. So SJW, you better hide them before you start reading. Well, I wonder if they will get a kick out of this. I think they might get a kick out of this story. So, where was I? So yeah, I was just rounding up some projects, rounding up some bits and pieces, so I had nothing. The Raymond Bishop show, I'm actually very, very grateful that I had the opportunity to do at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival. Joan Greening was the writer. She wrote the show, and I said, I'll do it. And it had a huge reception. When I say huge, I mean like 17, 18, 10 people actually turned up and watched my show. But it was great. It was fantastic. But really, it wasn't until I started vlogging and streaming again that I actually started really enjoying myself and started to feel like myself. If anybody else kind of felt that way about 2018, I don't know how you feel your 2018 went. Please do let me know in the chat. But for me, it wasn't until I started vlogging again and started sleeping better again, because I stopped waking up at 5:30 in the morning to try and get to work. I changed all that by moving back to Oxford. And it wasn't until I started doing that, sleeping more and vlogging more and going to the gym much more and taking more control of my life, I feel that things actually turned out for the better. And I'm really, really excited for 2019. I mean, I'm just trying to think of the best way to say this. It wasn't all great. There was one thing which I still feel guilty about. Without going into a great amount of detail, I broke up from my long-term girlfriend this year, and that was a very sad experience for everyone. I still feel guilty about that. Yeah, it still catches me off guard sometimes, and I'm thinking, oh wow, I just feel so good, and then yet I remember what I did. But ultimately, without getting into too much details, I'll just say this to my ex, who probably isn't watching this because she doesn't watch these things, or any of my stuff anyway. But to my ex, I will say this. I hope your 2019 is fantastic. I hope your Christmas is good this year, but I hope your 2019 is fantastic. I hope that you get everything you want. I hope you have massive success. I hope you have the greatest revenge on me, which, as Frank Sinatra once said, the best revenge is massive success. I truly want you to be happy. And I'm not just saying that to try and get favors or likes or subscribes or get anyone's good books. I truly mean that. I truly wish you the success and happiness in the future. Yeah, I know it benefits both parties and everything, and there was nothing malicious or naughty about it. It was all amicable. It's just that it still hurts. I still feel guilty, but that's done. That's in the past. I know that she's going to succeed and do much better than I am in the future. So now I just got to think about where I am now and just wait for a little bit more people to come in the chat. I just got to think about what I want to do in the future. And the thing I want to do in the future is vlogging. I want to do some creepypasta narrating or narrating in general. And I also want to do... What's that? I caught the bastard cheating on me. Oh no. Oh man, I'm really sorry to hear that. That's awful. That's utterly awful. Yeah, that's a horrible thing to happen to you. I'm sorry. I really am. Wow, I don't feel good about saying about what I want to do in the future after reading that. But yeah, I'm really sorry that happened to you. All we can do now is just keep moving on to the future and do all these different things. But yeah, I want to do some vlogging. I want to try and do a podcast on me. I want to do some recording of wrestlers. I want to do some voice acting. I want to keep doing streaming. Yeah. The way I said it was his loss, not mine at the end of the day. Absolutely, 100%. I agree with that 100%. No one should have to go through that. And he, yeah. Oh, wow, you're engaged. Congratulations. That is fantastic news. Congratulations. I guess it didn't work out too bad after all. I tell you one thing, though. I got all these plans for the future. I don't know how I'm going to do them. Because, you know, I've forgotten how much work it is just to do video editing. Like, doing the whole cutting and pasting, taking a stream of my Monster Hunter World game and then cutting into sections and editing it. I love doing it, I really do, but it takes up a lot of my time. So now I'm thinking, if I want to do things like creepypasta narration and go into the future, how am I going to do that and do it legitimately and do it within a short amount of time? But ultimately, I'll figure that out. What it basically means is I'm really happy and excited for the future, and I'm in a much happier place. So there we go. Another saying I have is everything happens for a reason. Yeah, I am inclined to believe that. But with that in mind, I think now is the time to get on to the story time, the thing that you all been waiting for. And I know there are some people who want to be here right now, but clearly I've picked the wrong time to do a stream because, oh, lo and behold, there's other family members who want your attention, Torathena. Well, actually, no, hang on. I'm going to quickly tweet back right now. So I'm going to, hang on. Torathena, invite them to watch. They will enjoy the story from Chuck Tingle. Chuck Tingle, there you go. Bang! That was 12 minutes ago. So I reckon that your fiance met at a local book club. Well, that's perfect. makes me think that you both got something in common. And that's the important thing. I mean, yes, there's things about having your own separate lives and doing your own separate things. But if you don't have that one commonality, or maybe two or three, the thing that you are both passionate about, then that it kind of is a warning sign, really. You both got to have that thing. So I've invited Tori Thena's family to come watch this stream, whether they will actually come along or not, I don't know. But let me just grab the book and you'll have to excuse me for a moment because oh jeez. Okay, so can you guys hear me okay still? Right, you're gonna have to excuse me for a minute because I've got the book on my tablet, and my tablet was the thing that was being used to look at the chat. But it's okay, I've got my phone here, which should be a-okay, and in theory it should be better actually. But let us begin with tonight's tale from Chuck Tingle, a truly magnificent homoerotic author, and I will promote his work entirely, and I bought this off a Humble Bundle deal a long while back. Best £15 collection of erotic books. Best £15 I've ever purchased. So here we go. Tonight's story is Angry Man Pounded by the Fear of His Latent Gayness Over a Dinosaur Transitioning into a Unicorn, by Chuck Tingle. Performed by Grax Bishop. Excuse me. Oh, that's a good start. What in the hell is this? I ask aloud, the words simply falling out of my mouth as a photo fills my screen. I'm on some liberal news website that I normally wouldn't be caught dead on, but a friend of a friend emailed me the link. I try desperately to make sense of what I'm seeing, because all that I can gather from this photo is a sexy, majestic unicorn looks ready to party. It's clearly a picture from some Hollywood photo shoot, which normally wouldn't rev me up on principle alone. But even I had to admit that this horned beast is absolutely gorgeous. After ogling the unicorn for a bit, I clicked back to the email and made sure that I followed the correct link, reading the message aloud. You won't believe what Bork Jenkins looks like now, the message read. This is so wrong. I shake my head. Clearly, the friend who sent me this made a big mistake, because the photo in question is definitely not of Bork Jenkins, Tyrannosaurus athlete and star of the hit reality TV show Borking Up with the Dinosaurs. Instead, my buddy sent me the link to a sweet and sassy unicorn princess, and I can't say that I'm disappointed. God damn, you're a fine-looking piece of ass, aren't you? I groaned, leaning back into my chair and unzipping my pants, excited to beat one out before the old battle axe gets home. Unfortunately, I get no more than 2 strokes in before that's exactly what happens. Carl! My wife screams from outside the apartment, her shrilled voice sending a sharp chill down my spine. I immediately zip up my pants and jump to my feet, closing down the computer and walking over to the front door. I pull it open. Why the fuck is the door locked? My wife screeches, pushing past me and almost knocking me over with her incredible size. She's holding a grocery bag in each hand, each of them seemingly overflowing with beer. My wife sets the bags down on the kitchen table and then pulls out a tabloid magazine from one of the bags. Did you see this? She asks, thrusting a magazine into my face. Bam Bam, I say, trying to calm her down. Chill. You expect me to chill with this when this kind of sinful behavior is being peddled to our kids? Bam Bam screams. We don't have kids, I tell her calmly. But if we did, my wife protests, this is the kind of freak show that the media would be rolling out for them. How long's this story, by the way? I don't know. I've never read this out loud. It's quite a full story. I might only have time for one. Where is I? I finally take the magazine from my wife's hand and look at the photo out on the front, freezing abruptly as the images hit my eyes. It's the same painfully sexy unicorn that I've been beating off to just a moment before. What is this? I asked, suddenly very concerned. Bort Jenkins, Bam Bam tells me. I stare at the magazine cover for a while and then look back into my wife's eyes, trying to figure out if she's joking or not. From that reality show? I ask. I don't think so. Honey, my wife says, taking the magazine out of my hands and holding it up to my face once more so I can get a really good look. She pulls one of her chubby, long-nailed fingers on the cover and taps it repeatedly. This is Bort Jenkins now. I can't help but laugh. Bort Jenkins is a dinosaur, though. Not anymore, Bam Bam tells me. There's something about the look in my wife's eyes that finally convinces me that she's no longer joking. And as I glance back at the magazine one final time, my blood runs cold. All the pieces of the puzzle suddenly begin falling into place, swirling through my brain like a vicious tornado until eventually there is just nowhere else to run. He had a uni change, Bam Bam says, disgusted. He's a unicorn now. The words hit me like a punch in the gut, causing me to almost double over completely with their devastating force. I feel sick to my stomach as visions of the last 10 minutes wash over me in brutal waves, particularly the part where I was pleasuring myself to the image of who I know is Bort. At first, I tried to desperately convince myself that I've never seen him as an attractive mystical creature, somehow knowing deep down inside that a vicious T-Rex lurked within. Despite my best efforts, though, I just can't do it. I know the truth of my actions. Sickening, right? My wife says, not quite understanding. The blank look on my face and my skin goes pale. I nod. Just terrible. I stumble a little, almost losing my footing and then catching myself. I think I need to get some fresh air, I blurted, staggering towards the door of our apartment. You don't want any dinner? My wife asks. Maybe in a bit. I stammer, not knowing exactly what to say. I throw open the door and step outside, looking back at Bam Bam. I just need a little time to myself, that's all. I close the door behind me and, almost immediately, my wife starts screaming like a vicious dog who's been tied up too tight. Her words are almost incoherent, a stream of belligerence that I can't even begin to decipher. I stumble away quickly down the front walk, trying to put as much distance between me and her as possible, should she come stumbling out after me. Soon, I'm walking down the side of the road, my legs carrying me wherever they want to go as my mind travels to all of its darkest corners imaginable. There's no denying it now. I was attracted to a unicorn that started as a dinosaur. The admission fills me with so much dread and rage that I actually had to stop for a moment and find my way over into a nearby ditch, vomiting profusely as the cars continue to stream by. Somebody honks loudly as they pass, probably mistaking me for a drunk, and I angrily flip them off as they disappear into the darkness. How could this have happened to me? A red-blooded American male. Accents. A red-blooded American male. I loved unicorns since the day I was born. Their long, flowing manes, their sturdy, powerful hooves, and last but not least, their shiny ivory horns that twist up towards the sun in a perfect spiral of beauty. In fact, just thinking about them right now turns me on enough to develop a hearty, half-chubbed erection. But Bort Jenkins was no unicorn. He was an abomination. I'm straight as an arrow, never once finding a dinosaur to be sexually attractive in any way. Sure, some of the football playing raptors on TV have impressive bodies, but if I'm looking to get myself off, I'd much rather tune into the Unicorn Football League. I suddenly shuddered just thinking about the UFL. Remember that they recently allowed their first human player. What is this world coming to? I fall to my knees on the side of the road and look up towards the sky, praying that God is looking down on me and listening. What's wrong with me? I cry out, my body filled with excruciating pain and overwhelming depression. I'm not a dinosexual! I'm not dinosexual! Not knowing what else to do, I let my head fall into my hands and begin to cry, the tears pouring down my face as I realize that I have become my own worst nightmare. I think back with pride to all the times that I had bullied dinosexuals as a child, or posted hateful comments about them online. I used to be so cool. And now I'm just as bad as they are. After kneeling here for some time, I finally lifted my head up, my gaze stopping on a bright neon sign that flickers just across the road from me in golden yellow. It's the local Unicorn Strip Club. And never have I been more thankful for its presence. I climb to my feet and immediately head across the parking lot towards the blacked out front doors, ready to prove that I'm a real man who wants to bone hot unicorns, and only hot unicorns. I practically kicked open the doors as I reached them, flashing the bouncer my ID and then immediately taking a seat at the very front of the stage. "All right," slams a booming voice over the club's loudspeakers. "Our next dancer comes to you all the way from Tennessee. He's a rootin', tootin' cowboy named Dasher, and he's ready to clop his way into your hearts. Everyone, give it up for the one, the only, Dasher Sprinkles." Seconds later, the most incredible, muscular unicorn I've ever seen steps out into the stage, dressed up to the nines in a very slutty little cowboy outfit that he immediately gets to work stripping out of it. The whole world around me seems to stop as Dasher worked his magic, clopping back and forth and then eventually taking a few spins around the pole. Several other men quickly join me at the front of the stage, and soon enough the money is raining down on the gorgeous young dancer. Dasher is loving every second of it, putting on a show like nothing I have ever seen. Yet somehow, I'm not getting hard. I look down towards my cock, which rests just behind a thin layer of fabric within my pants. "Come on," I coax. "You love this shit, bro." My dick doesn't move a muscle, absolutely refusing to affirm my strong attraction to the handsome unicorn. "Come on," I coax. Beads of sweat form on my forehead as the anxiety continues to blossom within me. "Come on!" I suddenly feel a twitch of something lustful in my groin, but before it can get any further, the song ends and Dasher begins to collect his money on the stage. "Wait!" I shout frantically, suddenly right back where I started. "Don't go!" Despite all the chatter around us, Dasher hears me and looks up from his bouquet of dollar bills. "You want a private dance, baby?" the unicorn asks. "Yes!" I nod frantically. "Please!" The next thing I know, Dasher Sprinkles has taken my hand in his hoof and is leading me across the strip club to a curtained-off back room. I follow him excitedly, my heart pounding hard within my chest. Excuse me. Why don't you just have a seat? Dasher offers once we're all alone. Excuse me. Why don't you just have a seat? Dasher offers once we're all alone, leading me over to a red velvet couch and then closing the curtains behind us. There you go, you can see me now. The unicorn immediately gets to work, swaying his hips back and forth, his muscular body entrancing me more and more with every movement. God damn, you look so good, I say, unable to contain my excitement. Oh yeah? The unicorn coos. You really think so? I know so, I tell him. I know so. I'm not some dinosaur lover or anything like that. I know good unicorn tail when I see it. The dancer freezes suddenly, stopping abruptly as my words hit his ears. What did you say? Dasher questions. Oh, I just meant that I'm not some dino chaser, I say. I'm a man's man, you know. The look of the unicorn's face changes slightly, his once joyful expression transforming to one of contempt and utter disappointment. So real men don't like dinosaurs? The unicorn asks. Yeah, I stammer, not exactly sure what I should say or why this dancer is getting so upset with me. Suddenly, a perfect example dawns on me. Like Bort Jenkins, right? He was born as a dinosaur. That's the way that God made him, and he should just stay that way. It's the natural order of things. Dasher shakes his head. You're disgusting. Get out! What? I shouted, standing up. I'm giving you a fucking compliment here. You honestly think you have the right to tell Bork Jenkins, or any other dinosaur for that matter, what they're allowed to do with their own bodies? The now furious unicorn dancer yells at bouncers. The now furious unicorn dancer yells as bouncers start approaching from either side. What fucking right do you have? The massive bouncers grab me by either arm, and I immediately struggle against them, enraged by the way this plan is turning out. What are you asking? I scream at the unicorn dancer as the bouncer picks me up and starts carrying me towards the door. Are you asking if I hate dinosaurs that become unicorns? Well, the answer is yes. Yes, I do. The entire strip club starts booing me, a few patrons actually helping to clear the way as the bouncers carry me out. The next thing I know, the front door of the club opens and I'm being thrown through the air, hurtling several feet before slamming hard onto the pavement and rolling end over end. I tumble for a while and then eventually come to rest, bloody and bruised, while the club door slams shut behind me. Dinosaurs are dinosaurs! Unicorns are unicorns! I scream out into the night. Deal with it! It takes me a few minutes, but eventually I manage to drag myself to my feet and begin the defeated walk back home to the apartment. It's late now, and very few cars continue up and down the road. Instead of rumbling engines, my senses are overwhelmed by the chirping crickets who call out from somewhere deep inside the nearby forest. Excuse me. I should probably cut through, I think to myself, realizing now just how long I've been gone. My wife is going to kill me when I get home, and as much as I dread returning, the sooner I get there, the better. I immediately veer off the road and into the woods, muttering to myself under my breath, as I thought anything I say could possibly change the fact that I had, just moments before, thought a dinosaur was attractive enough to jerk off to. The trees grow thicker and thicker around me as I continue deeper still. and eventually the moon above is blocked out by the crisscross of gnarled branches that hang above. Carl, a voice suddenly moans. I stop and immediately turn around to look behind me. There's nothing there. Hello? I call out. My voice bounces back to me across the assortments of twisted trees. Eventually I begin walking again, but it's not long before I hear the voice for a second time. I spin back around once more, greeted by absolutely nothing. You don't want to mess with me tonight, I call out in the dark woods. Don't fuck with me, 'cause I ain't scared. Not scared? A voice suddenly asks. I spin and nearly fall over backwards in shock at what I see. There, hovering before me, is a massive, misty apparition in the shape of a face. It floats menacingly, its form changing and shifting slightly in the wind, but for the most part retaining the looks of an enormous, hollow skull with ghostly nude bodies flowing through it. I lean in closer to see that the muscular bodies within its thing's ethereal form belongs to dinosaurs. What are you? I ask, my voice trembling. The skull laughs. You already know the answer to that one, Carl. You just can't accept it yet. I shake my head. I don't know what you're talking about. Do you know why you're so afraid of Bort Jenkins? The skull asked me. I'm not afraid of Bort Jenkins, I countered. I'm angry at the example he sets. A lot of the time, anger is just fear in disguise. The skull explains. This is one of those times. Yeah. I shake my head, not wanting to accept the words that are being thrown my way. Fuck that! I don't want to hear this! I say. I know, chuckles the hazy skull. But I'm not going to go away anytime soon because I'm a part of you, Carl. You might as well just deal with your feelings right here and now. What feelings? I scream at the apparition, fed up. The fact that you're attracted to a unicorn who was once a dinosaur makes you question your own sexuality, explains the skull. And the only way for you to deal with that is to say that there's something wrong with the unicorn, when in fact the only person with a problem is you. No! I shout, putting my hands over my ears as I fall to my knees. You're lying! This is just a dinosaur trick! Afraid not, says the skull, and while we're at it, I guess you should know that you're a repressed homosexual too. Suddenly the skull has gone a little too far for any of this to be believable. I crack a smile and stand up. You had me going there for a minute, but the gay thing is just a little too much. You were just at a bar full of male strippers, the skull said flatly. Male unicorn strippers, I explained. Big difference. The skull shakes from side to side mid-air. There's no difference, Carl. His words repeat over and over again within my head, bouncing around in an endless loop that seems to drift deeper and deeper in the most hidden parts of my soul. Eventually, I can't hear anything else. Tears begin to well up in my eyes, my emotions suddenly too overwhelming to contain within my body. Oh my God, I stammer, the entire universe suddenly opening up before me in a blast of cathartic realization. I hate Bort Jenkins because I'm jealous of him. He's so open with his sexuality while I keep mine pushed deep down inside, hidden away. The skull nods. That's correct. I don't want to hide anymore, I say. Like you say, there's no difference. It's all love, the skull agrees. I'm gay, I say, the words fulfilling there. Hang on a second. The microphone's coming down. There you go. That's much better. Now I can proclaim it or reading it out loud. I'm gay, I say, the words filling my soul with beautiful warmth. I like unicorns and dinosaurs. Suddenly, the misty skull is swirling around me, enveloping me in its sensual touch. I close my eyes and let out a soft moan, reeling from the sensation of being held by a personified version of my own repressed sexual identity. I want you, I said. I want to be who I'm supposed to be. The mist begins to take shape around me, forming personified manifestations of my latent gayness. I have to admit, they look good. Hunky, ethereal men with absolutely massive erections, projecting out from their bodies. I look down and suddenly realize that I too am hard. After all this effort, nothing that was more arousing than losing my own sexual inhibitions. Finally, I just can't take it anymore. Overwhelmed with ecstasy as I dropped to my knees, I started to beat off the mist furiously, a cock and in each hand as I make my way around the circle. Oh my God, I say, overwhelmed by the forest of dicks that surround me. I can't believe how gay I really am. All this time I spent hating people who are different than me, and now I realize that I'm just as different as they are. In your own way, says the mist. We're all different in our own way, and that's okay. The personified sexual fear seemed to enjoy my touch, groaning in turn as I take my time with each of their rods. They rock their hips to the movement of my hands, closing their eyes tightly as my firm grip pleasures them. This is stupid. Suddenly, one of the ethereal forms put his hand behind my head and pushes forward, thrusting his massive shaft between my lips. I swallow him gladly, taking as much length as I can until he presses hard against my gag reflex. I try my best to relax and allow him to pass, but it's just too much to bear, and suddenly I'm retching loudly, sputtering as I pull his rod out in a flurry of spit. I gasp for air, trying to collect myself as more and more hazy cocks are pressed against my mouth, anxious for their turn. It probably goes without saying that this is like an 18 stream. Hopefully take the mature button to say that you're old enough to watch this. Yeah? Okay. I mean, it's too late now. Seconds later, I'm taking the latent gayness deep once again, hungrily swallowing his massive dick and letting it expertly slip down my depths. Somehow, I managed to relax enough to allow him passage beyond my gag reflex, and the next thing I know, his balls are pressed tightly against my chin, his cock completely disappearing within my neck. The strange beings hold me there for a moment, enjoying the sensation of controlling me just as much as I enjoy being controlled. He starts to push me up and down slightly, using me as his own private play toy for a moment, before letting me up in a frantic gasp for air. The cocks continue to be thrusted between my lips from every direction, and I quickly lose track of just how many I've taken. I spend a little time with each one, bobbing my head over their length as I use my hands to beat off the other two at a time. I lick up and down their enormous shaft, running my tongue from balls to tip before swallowing them down again. Ooh, it's getting warm in here. The scene is frantic and wild, a completely depraved expression of all my pent-up sexual bigotry that has been dying to be exorcised. At this point, my dick is absolutely aching to be touched, throbbing between my legs as I yearn to be penetrated up the ass by any one of their massive misty cocks. Please, I gasp, pulling a member from my throat and looking up at the supernatural beings with huge doe eyes. I need to be fucked. I think we're halfway through the story. One of the ethereal beings quickly drops to their knees behind me and begin to align his dick with my tight, puckered asshole. I look back at him and give him a playful wink, then cry out loudly as he thrusts towards and stretch my tightness around the girth of his huge rod. His size is incredible, filling me completely as he pushes in and out with a slow, powerful grace. Oh, fuck, I moan, my hands tightly gripping the green grass in front of me. That personified sexual redneck fear feels so good inside this tight butthole. Oh, this is amazing. Where am I? Butthole. The latent gayness hammered me from behind soon finds a pleasant rhythm and speeds up his thrust, becoming a powerful pulsing slam against my round ass. Meanwhile, the misty apparitions around my face had stepped back and formed an orderly line. The first one shoved his cock down my throat so that I'm now being pounded from both ends. They push in and out of me in tandem with one another, timing their movements so that they're slamming my muscular body back and forth across their lengths like I'm some beautiful human sex kebab. Sorry. One thing's for sure, though. They know what they're doing, and it's not long before I find myself trembling as a prostate orgasm begins to blossom within me. I reach down and try to help it along, using my hands to rapidly stroke my throbbing cock as the quakes of pleasure continues to course through my body. I moan into the dick that fills my mouth, preparing for a powerful climax, but then suddenly the cocks within me pull out and another two take their place, instantly starting the process over again. These new misty men are just as hung as the first, and they waste no time picking up speed as they plow my tight holes. I brace myself against their thrusts, my eyes rolling back into my head as I struggle to handle the intense waves of pleasure being pounded through my body. They continue like this for a good while, and then, like before, switch out with another pair of ethereal beings. Eventually, all the manifestations have had a turn within me. I'm still aching to come, but the mist men still have much more in store for my once closeted body. One of the creatures lies down on the ground next to me and instructs me to climb onto him, which I do happily. I straddle his body with my manly legs, and from where I sit I can now fully appreciate his ridiculously muscular yet foggy chest, which heaves and expands with every deep breath. I run my hands down his washboard abs of my own latent gayness, and then take his rock-hard dick in my hand, maneuver down onto him as I impale my reamed asshole onto his rod. I slide down his length slowly, letting out a soft whimper when I reach the hilt, and then start in with a slow grind. I was wrong about everything, I confessed. My body tingles with absolute ecstasy. My swoops against the personified fear grow harder and harder, rapidly gaining speed until I'm hammering down onto him with all of my force. My latent gayness helps me along with his powerful arms, taking my hips in his hand and guiding me into perfect alignment with his massive, swollen cock. At this point, I'm completely overwhelmed. my brain flooding with the most depraved, gay sexual thoughts possible. I crave more pleasure, more sex, more cock. Someone get over here and shove another dick up my fucking ass, I suddenly demanded, surprising even myself. I need to be double fucked right now. One of the misty beings quickly takes his position behind me, squatting down and aligning his massive cock with the puckered rim of my already filled asshole. It's a tense fit. The muscle of my ass fighting against his advances as he slowly pushed the head of his dick into my anal seal. Harder! I commanded, looking back over my shoulder with a wicked fire in my eyes. Just shove that fat dick inside of me. Punish me for being such a bad, bad little bigot. The latent gayness takes my words to heart and immediately thrusts forward, hard, driving his dick up to my rectum in one powerful thrust. I scream aloud in a mixture of pain and pleasure, my entire body in shock from the bizarre sensation of two giant cocks fucking me in the same asshole. The next thing I know, the mists are pumping back and forth within me, pulsing together so that their shafts create an incredible rhythm of pleasure. It's unlike anything I've ever experienced. Fuck me! Fuck me! I screamed in a belligerent trance until suddenly one of the hazy men stepped forward and shoves his cock down my throat, cutting me off and turning my shrieks into a strange, muted gargle. Eventually, the ethereal creatures pulled out and flipped me over so that my back rests firmly against the latent sexual repression beneath me, while a second one pummels my ass from the front. Of course, a third misty man takes my mouth and suddenly I'm back where I'm started, with every gay hole filled to the max. The mist begins to trade places within me, fucking me hard with their massive rods, and then, right when I'm ready to come, they pull out and let another one of those strange beings take their place. I quickly find myself lost in the frenzy of dick, my mind melting in a sexed-up, cock-hungry animal, just aching to climax. No sooner have I lost myself in the tornado of dick, when suddenly that familiar orgasmic sensation starts to bloom within me again, coming on strong and fast. I reach down between my legs and attack my cock, rapidly stroking myself as the sensations within me grow bigger and bigger, and then suddenly they erupt within my body. I let out a powerful scream that reverberates through the dick in my mouth. My eyes closed tight and my stomach clenched tighter. Wave after wave of ecstasy pulses through me, and for a brief moment, I forget where I am, leaving my shell in an out-of-body experience. Jizz erupts from my cock, splattering everywhere. I finish coming and then immediately collapse onto the ground next to the misty beings, who stand up and form a tight circle around me, while they beat their dicks furiously. Oh my goodness. I look up to them through a lustful haze and beg for their jizz. Cover me with your fucking gay loads, I commanded. I need your seed all over this bigoted bro face. It's not long before the strange creatures are beginning to blow, the first two of them shooting their loads onto my face in crossed ropes of milky white semen. It spattered across me and wrung down my cheeks, a few white droplets catching playfully in my eyelashes. I open my mouth and stick out my tongue, then catch the next load as it sails through the air towards me. More, I demand. I need more gay cum. Load after load rains down onto me, covering my entire face with a pearly glaze of jizz. I lick it off my lips happily, swallowing hard, and then finally taking the last one of them right on the forehead. The mist fall back and find seats around the room. This is full of typos. Panting with exhaustion. Holy fuck, I say out loud, reaching up and touching the thick layer of spunk that plastered onto my face. I step through the door of the apartment and find my wife, Bam Bam, waiting silently on the couch, her teeth gritted in anger. "Where the fuck have you been?" Bam Bam asks. I had to think about some things, I tell her. "I bet," my wife retorts. "It's another woman, isn't it?" "Actually," I tell her, "it's another man." Bam Bam starts to laugh. "What the fuck are you on about?" "It's another man," I repeat. "Myself." My wife stops laughing. "You can get the fuck out," I say. Bam Bam's face goes through a quick series of emotions, from confusion to utter rage and then to amusement. "You don't have what it takes to kick me out of your life," she snarls. "I know courage and you don't have it. I'm more of a man than you'll ever be." "Get out," I repeat. Bam Bam stands up and walks over to the door, at which point she grabs the tabloid magazine off the kitchen table and pushes it in. Oh, wait, hang on. Typo. Bam Bam stands up and walks over to the door, at which point I grab the tabloid magazine off the kitchen table and pushes it into her hands. Bort Jenkins' smiling unicorn face still there on the cover. "You want to learn something about courage?" I say. "Read this." I slam the door and begin my new life. The end. Whew. Wow. I've forgotten how explicit that whole thing is. Oh my goodness, that was something. Yep. Wow. Okay. Well, how long was that story for? Oof, my goodness. That was like 45 minutes long, I think. 45 minutes long for a story. Hang on, I just need to make sure that this is all okay. And I'm just going to put this over here. There you go. And that's one of Chuck Tingle's stories. I'm going to put a link in the description below to promote his work, because I'm one of those people who thinks that people who write stories and are read by narrators should get full credit and everything. Oh, my head's really scorching hot with all this light tingling action. So if you really enjoyed that reading, because I know I did enjoy reading it, because my God, it's so ridiculous. I mean, this is the kind of writing that I think that's too much for Milk Magazine Incorporated to what's the word I'm looking for? It's it's too extreme. It's like, wow, it's just absolutely crazy. And if I could just take a hint of the absurdity of it all and not make it so gay, I think my stories would really develop quite a lot. And the thing is, like, I think that it would help develop my lexicon, my sexicon, if I read a lot more stories. Maybe not Chuck Tingle so much. But yeah, I need to do some more reading of erotic novels in the future. And I am going to... Yeah, let's see. I hope you enjoyed that story. Let's see how many people are in the chat. I wouldn't be surprised if, frankly, everybody decided to leave after that reading. I will say one thing. I was going to take this time to do a Ask Me Anything session. To give this an opportunity for people to ask me any questions they might know. And I haven't got any. So I sent out a call to see if anyone would like to ask me any kind of questions. Send it on my Twitter and on my Facebook and on my Instagram, where all the where all the links being over there. If you to want to follow me, even include my YouTube, and I even created a curiouscat.me account just to see if somebody would want to ask something. So let's see if there are actually any questions on curiouscat.me. Let's see, log in, continue with Twitter, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I haven't logged in on my phone, which is a little bit annoying because I thought I did that already, but that's okay. And we're going to see if anyone's asked me any questions. No, that's not the password. Whoops. Here we go. So we're going to log in and dismiss. Fantastic. Oh, wow. I got a lot of questions on curiouscat.me. And they all appear to be from PDT. Oh, no, they're not. Sorry. I misread it. These are questions that PDT got asked by Anonymous. Never mind. I mean, PDT, the geek, is a really great guy. If you want to follow somebody, you should probably follow him, ultimately, because he's a really funny guy. Do I have any questions set to me? Let's see. Don't really know how to use curiouscat.me. So a whole bunch of these quizzes. Is there a way of going to my profile? Hi, following stats. Show Twitter. Nope. Nah, come on. How does this work? This is riveting content here. How does this work? I feel really dumb. I actually do genuinely feel very dumb trying to figure out what this is. Come on. Maybe if I did that. No, I don't know. I don't know how. I actually don't know how to get this up. Oh, sorry, people in the chat. Well, that's weird. Why isn't this come up? Oh no, PDT the geeky. Hi, PDT. Oh no, this isn't going very well. Hang on a second. I need to figure this out because. Oh no, PDT just. I think that was PDT asking me a whole bunch of questions, but this chat is like not working properly, and I don't know how you actually. And I don't actually know how to read the chat that's gone past. Oh, this is embarrassing. Deeply embarrassing. Why isn't that working? Oh well. But the important thing is I have it on my phone, so God, I feel like a call girl. The good news is I can now see what's on the chat. The bad news is I don't actually know how to look at the previous chat stuff. So, cool. Well, I think thanks PDT for doing some great comedy. But here's an interesting thing. I could just stop the stream and then play it back and then start it up again. Oh God, that'd be stupid. But I'm glad you see me stream. I don't know if you were in my chat when I was reading the story of a man having sex with his latent homosexuality. But it was a belter. It really was. Okay, hang on. I've got to get this chat thing working. What about if I stop the app? Yeah. I stop the app and start the app again. Start that up. Welcome to Grax Bishop's channel. I'm now connected. I'm going to do a quick test. I've literally just logged on. Ah, excellent. I literally just logged on. Thank you. I literally just logged on, and the app is working again. This I got to say, this app is that I mentioned before isn't as good as I first thought. I mean, it's fine, but yeah. For PDT who just logged in, I just finished reading a story, and it was long. It was 45 minutes long, longer than I thought it was going to be. And now it's a question time, but I don't actually have any questions. To answer, really. The other alternative we could do is I could just go straight into the next story. That would be probably another 45 minutes of gay stories, or yeah, you know what? You know what? I think I might just do that. Go on to the next story because I don't have any questions, and I think that some more reading would be good. I mean, if more people wanted to come on and have a little bit of a chat, by all means, feel free to share the story around. Feel free to share the stream, because I'm just about to start the next episode, as Dr. Dre would say. Now, this story is slightly different because I haven't read this yet. I mean, the previous story. Whilst we're loading up the next story, let me just answer this question from PDT. He's asked two questions. First question: What's your favorite Power Ranger? Which for me is the Green Ranger, Tommy, of course. It's the one that's the coolest one. You know, except for the point where he where he was evil to begin with, and it's cool, and then he stopped being cool when he was good. It's a weird story type of thing. But the Green Ranger, as you can probably tell by this little present right here, who sits on my side. Andy Harlan got me this because he found out I was into the Green Ranger quite a lot when I was doing Ranger Pod. The next question from him is, do you take life as seriously as you seem to? Really? You think I take life quite seriously? I would say sometimes. I guess it always depends on the circumstance, and I like to think that I don't take life too seriously at all, and I like to think I'm quite playful and stupid and all this kind of stuff, and silly, and I feel like I've been getting back into that more over the past 3 months. But sometimes I take life seriously. It depends. I mean, if one of my friends was really, really in a bad way, one way or another, I'd want to help them out. Next question from PDT. What do you want to achieve in 2019? I said this at the beginning of the stream, but it bears repeating. What I want to do in 2019 is I want to be able to go and I want to be able to make vlogs regularly. I want to be able to make videos regularly. I want to make podcasts regularly. I want to be able to narrate regularly. I'll continue this Milk Magazine Incorporated stuff because that seems to be working. I just want to create more stuff, but I want to create more stuff regularly. And I want to be able to do that more and more and more. But the trouble with this is that getting back into the swing of things in terms of doing live streams and editing videos and uploading onto YouTube and whatnot is I've forgotten how much time it takes. It's actually very time consuming, and I haven't worked out the most efficient use of my time. But I'm glad I did it. I really am glad I've been streaming and I've been publishing stuff. And like I mentioned earlier on, my subscriber count on YouTube's been slowly creeping up. Well, a lot faster than it has been in the past. And I'm getting followers on Twitch. So who would have thought that posting regular content is one of the ways to build a fan base? So yeah, that's my plan. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but that's what I want in 2019. I want to do this more. How many times have I wanked today? 0. I've wanked 0 times today. And I think you're very earnest, PDT continues. I think you're very earnest, which is not a bad quality, but I worry about you sometimes. That's very kind of you to say. That's actually very kind of you to say. Thank you. I think for me, one thing that makes me think of is how I behave on Twitter and on social media in general. My policy is just be nice and honest and earnest and just be nice, because people, at least I can't, typically people can't read into sarcasm and ironic statements, and like if you're trying to say something mean but you didn't mean it, you can't do that. I can't do that over text because the message gets lost. You need to be able to read the body language and hear the words being said and all that kind of stuff to know that I'm joking. But it's just safer to be nice and honest and genuine and positive on the internet. It may not be as funny, but it's the safest thing to do. Thank you very much for those questions, and thank you very much for those comments. And we're going to see if there's anybody else in the chat. And if there are any more questions, which I don't think there are any more questions that pop up right now, but those are some good questions. Thank you very much. And I'm just going to check my emails because... No, I got an email related to Stormy Daniels, hard in under 10 seconds. Well, that's a bit relevant to what's happening on today's stream. But yeah. Yes. Yes, I've fallen foul to this a few times as someone who has used a lot of sarcasm. But that's okay. I think that it's 10:15. So if I read another story, I'll get to about 11 o'clock. And I think that's a good time to end this stream. So let's see. Well, there was a story I wanted to read. Where is it? I know some people might be thinking, well, Grax, why did you bother to do a stream on Christmas Eve? And I'll be like, well, I wanted to do one more stream. And like I said, after today, I am going to... Oh, great to see you joining me from your mum's poor internet house. Thank you so much for joining me. I do appreciate it. Where is it? Here we go. This is a story I wanted to read. Yeah, this will be my last stream until 2019. And I'll be picking this back up in, I don't know, maybe this second or third weekend of January, because I want to take a bit of a break, and I also want to think about what I want to do and plan for my future. And without further ado, let's go on to Chuck Tingle's next story that I happen to have in my collection, which I bought from Humble Bundle. I haven't read this story out yet. I don't know if it's going to beat the other story, but let's give it a try. Today's story is called Pounded by the Gay Unicorn Football Squad. Throughout history, there will always be a select few who stand up against oppression, bigotry, and intolerance. That is how it starts, with a handful of folks who just can't take it anymore and decide to do something about the position that they've been thrust into. I've read about these people ever since I was a young man, but never in my wildest dreams did I ever think that I would grow up to be one. When I first realized that I was gay, I was wrongfully assumed that overcoming society's intolerance of my lifestyle would be my biggest hurdle. Of course, I had no way of knowing what would happen in the years to come. As time passed, the political climate changed greatly. People started to completely forget about the borderlines of sexuality, instead turning their attention to the differences between humans and unicorns. When I was younger, unicorns were the last thing anyone would have had problems with. Sweet horned beasts with beautiful flowing manes and killer styles. But as unicorn music became more popular and began to invade the conservative homes of modern Americans, people started to take notice of this incoming foreign influence. Soon enough, unicorns turned from an edgy subculture to headline news. After forming the UFL, Unicorn Football League, it was all over. The unicorns were faster than us, stronger than us, and better at interceptions. Unicorns had gone mainstream. The craziest part, however, was when the unicorn lifestyle began to overshadow its human counterpart. Eventually, human football became a thing of the past as the unicorn games continued to produce more and more exciting matchups. A few of the players did manage to cross over and play in the UFL, but they remained closeted humans, never mentioning in any interviews that they were, in fact, not unicorns. By the end of the transition, almost 90% of professional football players in America were out of a job. Thankfully, I am one of the 10% who remained, but it didn't come without a price. I may be openly gay, but the world at large can never know that I'm not actually a unicorn. Keeping up appearances isn't as hard as you would think in the UFL. Also, you have a lady stays, so you'll be busy. No, that's not tonight. That's tomorrow. And I don't know what you mean by getting busy. I basically got where is I? I basically just got about my day as any other player would, practicing all the time, doing endorsements, hanging out with the guys. Really, the only thing I have to worry about is that terrifying question that pops up every so often in interviews. I remember the first time that it happened. My team, the Los Angeles Sparkles, had just won our second consecutive Horn Bowl, and we were all reeling from the victory. The press conference was uproarious and full of laughter, but everything got awkward quickly when I took the microphone when I was asked my first question of the night. Am I meant to be touching myself to this? I don't know. It depends if you're into unicorns. I vividly remember the little old woman standing up and adjusting the thick-rimmed glasses on her face as she glanced down at the notepad in her hand. "Aaron Duncan," she began, "are you a unicorn?" The question was so unexpected that I could barely function. My unicorn classification had never once been called into doubt, and why should it? I played just as hard out there on the field as the rest of my team. Not to mention the fact that there are plenty of other players in the UFL who seem much less like a unicorn than I do. Even I have my doubts. I swallowed hard and tried my best to collect my thoughts. "Yes, I'm a unicorn. Why wouldn't I be?" I asked. "Hey, Riz Noble Jazz 4. Welcome. You just got here just in time for some Chuck Tingle. Do I remember you? I think I'm just trying to remember. I'm afraid. Can you give me a bit more of a clue? Oh, this is really embarrassing. I'm sorry to say, but I'm just trying. I'm trying to remember if it was like it was one of the Milkmaid Incorporated sessions, perhaps. Man, this is embarrassing. I'm really sorry. No, I'm afraid I don't know off the top of my head. I'm sorry. But now that you're here, I'm definitely going to remember you because of the fact that I'm reading. Tell me about it. But this is okay because this is going to be a moment when I remember because I'm reading a gay unicorn story. So how could I possibly forget Riz Noble Jazz 4 at this point right now? I better carry on with the story just to try and break the awkwardness. Let's see. I swallowed hard and tried my best to collect my thoughts. Yes, I'm a unicorn. Why wouldn't I be? I asked. Well, because you don't have a horn or hooves, said the old woman, a sharp accusatory tone in her voice. I laughed out loud, trying my best to put up a front. I can assure you, I'm completely unicorn in every way. Next, please. A slew of hands all shot up, each of them with a much more pertinent question than whether or not I was a unicorn. I finished off the rest of the press conference well, but still, in the back of my mind, the woman's questions lingered. Was I really that obvious? A slew of hands all shot up, each of them with a much more... Over the off-season, it was all that I could think about. At first, I was angry that this woman would even ask such a thing. How dare she pry into my private life like that? As if it was any of her business what species I was. Officially, there is no ruling stating that a human player cannot play in the UFL. And any aversion to such a thing was purely due to the fact that it had never been done before. Soon, my anger became directed towards myself, directed towards the fact that I didn't have the balls to stand up at the press conference and proudly say, yes, I am a human player in the Unicorn Football League. It was at that moment I realized what had been done. And as the next year of football started, I began asking around the team for their opinion of me coming out as a human player. Of course, all the rest of the players had my back, including our unicorn coach. The rest is all up to me. Now, standing behind the stage, I can barely stop shaking as I wait for the press wranglers to call me out onto the microphone. This is our first press conference of the season, and everybody's in great spirits after winning our first game against the New England Rainbows. I should be thrilled right now, but I'm not. Only one thing is on my mind. My friend and fellow player, Dirk Rando, steps up behind me and puts a hoof on my shoulder. I turn around to face him, trying to hide the intense anxiety that seems to surge through every inch of my body. You'll be fine, Dirk says reassuringly. Just remember that me and the rest of the guys have your back. I know, I tell him. Thanks, bud. It's just so crazy to think of how much this means to so many people. So many other claiming unicorns, but really just lonely, closeted humans. I'm not going to pretend I know what it's like, Dirk tells me. But I feel for you, man. That's all I can say. I appreciate that, I tell him. We both pause for a moment, and in the silence, I suddenly pick up on a strange electricity between us. I've always thought of Dirk as one of my best friends, but in this moment of comfort, I get the very distinct impression that something more is simmering just below the surface. This team means everything to me, Dirk included. But suddenly, I'm understanding just how much their support and affection is actually worth. I've been so wrapped up in the question of whether or not I was a unicorn that I forgot what it meant to be human. How could I have been so blind to what was sitting right in front of me this whole time? Yeah. Dirk, I suddenly say, my emotions overwhelming any semblance of rational thought. I think I'm in love. Suddenly, I hear my name being called from the stage, and I straighten myself up, trying to smooth out any wrinkles on my suit. Go get 'em, human, says Dirk with a wink. I smile, then turn around to head out onto stage and into a barrage of frantic flashbulbs. I give a confident wave and step up to the podium. Hey everyone, thanks for coming out. The crowd settles down a bit and the first questioner stands up. I see her and my breath immediately catches in my throat, my heart skipping into double time. There before me is the same woman from last year's press conference. The little old lady who had first brought my human identity into question. Hello, Aaron. The voice that haunted my dreams begins. I don't know if you remember me. I was the woman who asked you last year about the allegations that you are actually secretly a human player in the Unicorn Football League. I changed her voice, it's fine. I remember, I tell her. How could I forget? A lot has happened since then, the woman continues. Allegations continue to gain traction and several witnesses have come forward to report that you are, in fact, a human being. Now, that all of this time has gone by, is there anything else you'd like to say about these accusations? The crowd goes wild in anticipation of my response, which seems to be stuck somewhere deep down in the back of my throat. I so desperately want to reassure her that I am a unicorn, to lie through my teeth like I have a million times before, and then get out of here as quickly as possible. But I just can't do it. I close my eyes and center myself, taking note of the way that the harsh lights of the room warm my skin. I take a deep breath. Yes, I finally respond. There is something I'd like to say about that. I slowly look around the room at each and every one of the press agents, connecting with as many of them as I can. I am a human being, I finally say. Not a unicorn. The entire crowd gasps audibly and then frantically begin to shout out questions for me to answer. I raise my hands up and quiet the mob. I'm a human being, and I'm proud to play in the Unicorn Football League, I say confidently. I have the full support of my team, and I look forward to continuing a great season with the Los Angeles Sparkles. Won't it be distracting to have a human player out of the field with all the unicorns? Somebody shouts. I scoff. Was it distracting before you knew I wasn't a unicorn? Of course not. Why not just keep it to yourself? Another one of the reporters asks. Because this is who I am, I retort. I'm a human. I can't keep pretending to be a unicorn because that's what you all want from me. I'm not going to live a lie anymore. I answer a few more queries and then eventually find myself dismissed when the question and answers time draws to a close. Almost immediately, my phone starts buzzing with texts from friends and family. At first, I'm worried about what they might say, until I read a few of them and realized that there was nothing but love for me coming out of the unicorn closet. I scrolled down the list of the contacts voicing their support, smiling widely until I reach the first message. It's from Dirk. "Hey man, come back to the locker room after the press conference," I read out loud. "Me and the guys want to talk to you about something." I know full well that I have the team's support, but Dirk's words still put me on edge. "On my way," I text back, then headed straight for the showers. When I get there, I find the whole team waiting for me, hanging out around the locker room and discussing something in a hushed tone. "What's up, guys?" I ask, letting the door swing shut behind me. I'm so nervous that literally I'm trembling. Dirk stands and walks over to me, his brilliant ivory horn shining under the stark lighting from above. "Hey man, nice work out there," Dirk says. A smile begins to creep across my face as the entire room full of unicorns begin neighing loudly and stomping their hooves. "Thanks," I offer bashfully. I appreciate it, guys. "You know, I was kind of suspicious for a while there, but I didn't want to say anything," the quarterback Russell Marks tells me. "I guess I was right." I laugh. "What gave me away?" Russell shrugs his unicorn shoulders. "I don't know. You don't really have a mane or anything." I nodded. He's right about that. And looking back, I'm shocked that my bare neck never gave me away. "Anyway," Dirk interjects, "me and the guys were talking and he trails off." "What is it?" I ask, equally confused and curious. Dirk looks around at the rest of our teammates. "We're a really close team, you know." I nod. "It's like, I think I love you, man," Dirk continues. "We all do." Suddenly, my heart is flooded with emotions. All these years, anxiety and tensions flowing out of me in a stream of salty tears. "I love you too," I say. "All of you." Dirk comes towards and nuzzles into me with his unicorn head, careful not to poke me with the point of his sharp horn. I wrap my arms around him and hold him close, enjoying the warmth of Dirk's warm, fuzzy skin against mine. Suddenly it hits me. None of these guys are wearing their uniforms. In fact, none of the unicorns are wearing any clothes at all. I step back in shock. "Whoa! What's going on here?" I stammer. Dirk grins reassuringly. "Okay, don't freak out, but we've got something to ask you about." Completely at a loss, I shake my head in exasperation and beg to know. "What is it?" "Well, we were all talking, and a lot of us has never been with a human before. You know, slept with one," said Dirk. The second that my unicorn friend says this, I can feel my cock start to harden within my pants. "We were wondering if you would be interested in showing us," Dirk asked. "Showing you?" I questioned, knowing full well what he meant, but begging him to spell it out for me. "Fucking us," Dirk clarified. My heart flutters, and for a moment I feel as though I'm about to pass out right there and then. I had only just professed my undying love for these incredible beasts, and now they're trying to fuck me. "Yes," I gasp. the words leaving my lips well before I had a chance to even consider the consequences. "Fuck me," I say. Slowly, I unbutton my shirt and reveal my toned chest and abs. The unicorns begin to whinny happily, enjoying the show. I continue by slipping off my pants and then slowly, seductively, removing my underwear until I am standing before them, completely naked. My shaft rock hard and at the ready. My teammates take me in with their huge unicorn eyes, enjoying the look of my muscular human body. After a brief moment, Dirk locks his gaze with mine, sharing a moment of unspoken affection. Then he gracefully rolls over onto his back and opens his legs. The unicorn's massive cock is on display for me. A beautiful tower of sex just beckoning for my lips to be wrapped around it. Oof. I know that my dynamic with the team will never ever be the same if I go through with this. But right now, I'm too horny to even care. Giving in to the animalistic side of my brain and letting my lust take the reins. Seconds later, I'm on my knees, letting this enormous hairy dick slide between my wet lips. I bob up and down on the beast's rod for a while, letting him enjoy the sensation of my soft mouth across his hard, swollen unicorn cock. Dirk groans in a magical, beastly way, clearly enjoying himself as I pleasure him. I take his huge unicorn balls in my hand and cradle them as I service my teammate, barely noticing the other two beasts until they have clopped up on either side of me and turned themselves over as well. I reach out with both hands and take each of their cocks, pumping along with the rhythm of my mouth. All three of these MPV hornbowl winning unicorns begin to push back against me, thrusting their rods forwards through the tightness of my firm grip. I push down as far as I can on the cock in my mouth, choking a little and then relaxing enough to let it slide past my gag reflex. I hold his enormous shaft down there for a while, letting Dirk fully appreciate my sexual dexterity before coming back up for air. I take in a huge gasp and then dive back down again, pushing even further this time until my face is pressed hard against the unicorn's stomach. The beast puts his hooves behind my head and helps to keep me steady, holding me for as long as I can take it, and then finally letting me up in a flurry of coughing sputters and teary eyes. I glance around to see that there's an entire circle of unicorns lying on their backs around me now, the massive dicks standing straight up like a giant goalpost towards the ceiling. Immediately, I begin to make my way around the circle, taking them 3 at a time before moving on to the next set. The team enjoys me thoroughly, roughly making use of my human hands and lips. They pass me around with an animalistic power that should honestly be a bit terrifying, but I can't help finding myself enjoying it. My cock is swollen and hard from all this attention. And finally I just can't take it anymore. I sit up on all fours, letting the unicorns get a good look at my muscular, gay ass. As I reach down and start to slowly stroke my dick, the team begins to neigh and stomp again, excited to have a chance at fucking me for real. Hello everyone, Deeply Dish and my MBell86, thanks for joining me. You've just arrived at the heat of the action of this Chuck Tingle story. You like that, don't you? I asked Dirk and the guys. I reached back with my hand and spread open my ass for them, egging them on. You've probably been wondering all your life. Excuse me. Sorry. You've probably been wondering all your life what it's like to fuck a real human dude, haven't you? I slip a single finger into my gay asshole, going deep and pulling it out again. Immediately, one of the unicorns, Tank, the quarterback, clops over behind me and begins to mount. I look back over my shoulder at him, watching as the giant beast heaves himself over the back of my body and aligns his swollen cock with the entrance of my tight butthole. Fuck me, I command. Hut, hike! Tank says with a laugh. The unicorn quarterback thrusts forward and slides into my puckered asshole. I let out a long, great... His name... Sorry, got a bit too frisky there. I mashed all the buttons. Where was I? I let out a long, gracious moan as he stretched me out, my tightness giving way to his enormous girth. The monster goes to work, slamming up against me as I brace myself against his powerful movements. For never being with a human lover... For never being with a human lover, Tank is incredibly adept at fucking me. The sensation is wonderful, a beautiful mixture of pleasure and fearful submission to this powerful yet elegant beast. Before I know it, another one of the giant unicorns has climbed into position in front of me, his cock fat and swollen. I barely have time to open my mouth before he thrusts his way inside, pushing deep down into my throat while I'm throttled from the back. The two unicorns instantly find a pulse between them, and they slam me from both ends, rattling my large frame with every thrust while they gain speed inside of me. They go harder and harder, never letting up as I groan with pleasure between them until finally I'm worried I might actually get hurt. Fortunately for me, this is precisely when the team decides to let two other unicorns have a go. The original pull out of me and stomp away while two others quickly take their place. Starting slowly again and then building ferocity as they slam into me. This pattern continues for a while until I lose track of how many giant unicorn cocks I've taken. It feels as though the entire team has had their way with my body. And even though the initial thoughts of being violated by so many beasts is disturbing, to say the least, there's no part of me that isn't completely satisfied and at ease. These aren't just any unicorns. These are the unicorns that I love. Eventually, the team has had enough of this position and released me from their sexual unicorn kebab. I wipe the tears from my eyes and the saliva from my mouth, and then look at them. I look up at them, ready for more. I love you, I confess to Dirk as he stands in front of me. I want us all to be together, the whole unicorn team. We want that too, Dirk assures me. We all want the same thing, and it's going to be beautiful. One of the unicorns is lying on his... Oh my goodness. Okay. One of the unicorns is lying on his back next to me now, and with all four of his hooves, he seems to be motioning for me to climb onto him. An excited smirk crossing my face, I quickly crawl over to my teammates and straddles his huge unicorn body, carefully lowering myself down so that his giant cock slides right up into my ass. I begin to ride him, enjoying myself immensely until I see another one of the beasts climbing into position behind us. Whoa, buddy, I say out loud, looking back at him as he heaves himself on top of me. I don't know about that. No sooner had the words left my mouth does the beast behind me thrust himself firmly into my already taken asshole, successfully double penetrating me. I let out a yelp of surprise that slowly morphs into an animalistic growl as I find myself enjoying it. Goodness. I push back towards them, slamming down hard against every upward thrust, their members stretching me tight, filling me entirely as they throb together within my single whole. It's not long before the unicorn football team behind me starts gaining speed, slamming harder and harder until the beast pushes deep within my asshole and spills out his hot load up my ass. The beast lets out a satisfying groan as he holds deep, filling me with pump after pump of sticky sperm, and then finally pulling out so that another unicorn can have a chance within my aching human butthole. Using the cum as lube. Using the cum as lube, this new unicorn thrusts into me from behind and begins hammering away with equal fever? Close enough. Steadily gaining speed like the last one until he explodes as well. The unicorn player unleashes even more spunk inside of my asshole, mixing with the hot load that came before it. As he pulls out, some of the white liquid spills out of my thigh tightness and runs down my toned legs in a pearly streak. The unicorns continue to fuck me like this, taking turns within my asshole as the original beast pounds me from below. Eventually, there's no room left in my asshole for their magical unicorn cum, which overflows from my orifice every time that I'm unplugged. I've taken about 10 of their loads, with no ends in sight. The entire team is here, waiting and ready to explode within me. As an expression of our everlasting intraspecies... sorry, this is overcoming me. As an expression of our everlasting interspecies love. Come inside me! I scream at them. Fucking come inside my gay ass! I reach down and start to frantically beat my cock, pushing myself closer and closer to orgasm until finally I just can't take anymore and my body erupts with pleasure. The powerful sensation flows through me in waves, each one of them stronger than the next, as I seize with ecstasy. I close my eyes and clench my teeth, barely able to stand the blissed out feelings that rocked me from head to toe, while cum shoots from the end of my cock. My screams of pleasure echo throughout the locker room and down the hallway, ricocheting off of the concrete walls. When I finally finished, I find myself in a gay, fucked silly daze, barely able to keep my eyes open as the beast continued to ram me. Finally, the last one in front finishes and the unicorn below pulls out of me, rolling me off of him and onto the locker room floor. I look up to see the final unicorn teammate standing over me and then smile happily as, moments later, he unleashes his unicorn load across my face. I scan the eager crowd of reporters. Yes, you, I say with a smile, pointing to the little... Oh my God. Yes, you, I say with a smile, pointing to the little old woman in the front row of tonight's press conference. I remember a time when her face caused me more anxiety than I could bear, but by now, I'd honestly consider her a friend. The older woman stands and takes out her notepad, and as a few flashbulbs go off. It's been quite the season for your team, completely undefeated and going off the pay... Sorry, let me start again. It's been quite the season for your team, completely undefeated going into the playoffs, she says. That's a first in UFL history. To what do you owe your success this season? Hard work, I tell her. Determination and love. There's been a lot happening off the field with the Los Angeles Sparkles too, the woman says with a nod. You came out of the league's first openly human player, and then later, when the entire team reveals that you were all participating in a massive team-wide romance relationship with one another. That was a terribly read sentence. That's correct, I tell her. We play hard, and we love hard. The end. Oh my goodness. That was another love story from Chuck Tingle. And I hope you all enjoyed that. Whilst that's not quite as absurd as the previous story I read, it's still... Wow. I mean, words fail me. It's insane. And yes, you're right, Michael Bell. It was on a Sunday, the day of the Lord. He has heard me reading out stories of homosexuality and unicorns and spiritual manifestations of latent gayness. And I hope you all enjoyed it. Sorry, I'm just checking on the chat right here, just to see that everything's a-okay. Yeah. Excuse me. So yeah, that's the next Chuck Tingle story. And we're coming up to 11 o'clock, and I can stick around for another 10 minutes to take any more of your questions if you happen to have anything that you'd like to ask me. I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. And I will stick around for I'd say another 10 minutes. I think finishing at 11 o'clock would be a good time for me to finish the stream. Because tomorrow is Christmas Eve, and I still need to go to the office on Christmas Eve. But that's it. After Christmas Eve, I'm off for a few days this Christmas. Spend time with some loved ones. And I'm back on work on Friday. And then, of course, there's a weekend, and then there's New Year's Eve and all that kind of stuff. And not only will I take this as an opportunity to recharge my battery, spend time with loved ones, but also try and do some planning for the future. As I mentioned earlier on, I want to try and take this internet entertainment business seriously. Whether I be making vlogs or podcasts or creepypasta readings, narrations, all that kind of stuff, I want to do this kind of stuff more and more. And I need to figure out how I'm going to do this, whether I'll be preparing them in bulk and then uploading it in one go in a weekly progress, or just making it on the fly, which I don't think is a very smart thing to do in this case, but especially with this current environment of YouTube not really wanting narrators to do that kind of stuff. What was I just saying? Yeah, basically, it's really quite hard to do something like this internet. Come on, Grax, what am I trying to say? It's hard to make something like this into a success, but I'm going to do it because I want to succeed in this. And I am looking forward to 2019. I hope you all had and I'm intrigued. I would be interested in hearing what your plans are for 2019, because one thing I would like to do in the future is I want to collaborate more. I genuinely do. I want to work with other people. Not quite sure how. I got a couple of ideas. I'd like to do some voice work, turn some books into voice work. Maybe we should do some Let's Plays with other people. One thing I learned was, in fact, one thing I would like to do, and I've been talking with Miko, my friend Miko, is maybe doing some collaborating writing with Milk Magazine Incorporated, because, well, frankly, she's a much better sex writer than I am. I guess. I don't know. She she gave me a couple of sentences during our previous chats, and they're leagues ahead of anything I could ever write. But yeah, I'd like to do some more. I want to take this Milk Magazine Incorporated stuff just to see if it actually will develop into something good, or if it's just going to be another idea that doesn't quite take off. I don't mind either way. I'm happy to look forward and to explore that idea. And the chat seems like it's being pretty quiet right now, so I think that this is a good opportunity to wrap this up for an evening, unless some people have got something to say. Otherwise, I'll just say this. Thank you very much for watching my stream. I really appreciate it, and if you're watching me back on playback, I appreciate that too. Thank you so much. I definitely recommend you go listen to the podcast from Tom Mayhew, the 18% podcast. I'll put the links in the description down below, so you can click on that, and you can also follow him and give that man support, because his idea is significantly more valuable than mine. I'm just being a stupid entertainer. He's bringing the attention of working class performers into the limelight, which is important. I also would like you to show some support to Chuck Tingle, which has got some incredible stories. I'll post a link in the description down below of where you can buy his material. Like I said, I bought this stuff off Humble Bundle a while back, so if you keep an eye out for that, maybe you can pick that up on a bargain price. And please do follow me on Twitch and YouTube and Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. Yeah, that's all of them. Yeah, or Grax Bishop. I've recently changed my YouTube channel to be Grax Bishop rather than Grax the Tyrant. You know, keeping the branding stuff. And that thing about that YouTube channel is I cannot monetize it because I was banned from monetizing from that account a long time ago. So there shouldn't be any adverts unless YouTube decides to shove adverts into my videos, which suck, but I have no control over that. But please do follow and subscribe to my outlets. And I'm posting a lot more frequently, and I'm really enjoying doing this. And I really enjoy interacting with you all. So thank you for watching my stream. Thank you for keeping me company. And I really... In fact, let me just put this back on here. There we go. That all looks good to me. So to everybody out there who's watching me, and people who are not watching me, to my close friends, and to people who I've met for the first time, to the people I've righted, to the people I've wronged, and everybody in between, I wish to say to you, have a Merry Christmas and a fantastic New Year. And I hope that your 2019 is blindingly successful. I really do. So until then, I will see you next year. Bye-bye.